Hello dear friend, I am glad to see you again. You're welcome to Netcode-Hub channel, where we learn how to develop web app, mobile and desktop application with .NET magics, such as Blazor, Maui, and Maui Blazor Hybrid. You can subscribe to this channel if you want to learn more on this. You can also click on the notification icon to receive notification as soon as I upload new video. When this video ends and you are touched with my lecture and you want to buy me coffee, that is a hot one, I'll be glad to accept it. And you can do that through a link in this video description. Today, we are going to look at how to perform CRUD operation, and that is a create, read, update, and delete operations in .NET 8 Blazor using SqlServer and using the auto render mode. The auto comprises of the server and the WebAssembly render. If you don't know this, I have a video done on all the render modes. I've explained them in the new .NET 8 Blazor. So I'll put that under the description so you can just go in there and I'll watch it for yourself and I'll get to know these render modes. But we're going to use one of these render modes here, and that is the auto, as I've mentioned earlier on. Now, what are the objectives? Before I talk about the objectives, the source code of this project will be available at the GitHub. So check this video description and I'll put the link over there. Now let's go to the objectives. What are you expecting from this video or from this lesson? At the end of watching this video, you should be able to perform the CRUD operations in .NET 8 Blazor. And also, you should be able to, or you'll be able to understand the new way of implementing edit form in .NET 8 Blazor. There's a slight change here, so I'm going to teach you how to do that in .NET 8 Blazor. And also how to add a C# class library and share among the server and now the client projects. As usual, I am Frederick, your lesson facilitator. So the very first thing that we're going to do here is to create the project. So let's launch our Visual Studio 2022 preview. And we click on the new project to get the project done. So we're going to create a project here and I'll click on this new project. Now the name of this project, I'm going to name it as Demo Blazor CRUD Operations with .NET 8. So when you go to GitHub and try to search for, that's going to be the name for that repo. So from this filter, we can just choose it's not library, nope. You have to go in for Blazor, and you can see we have this Blazor web app. So we click on that, and that is the name that I'm going to use. So if I click next, the next stage that we are in here, that is where the new things start from. You can see we have this interactivity type. Now auto here means it's going to include the server and now the WebAssembly. I have a video whereby I explain detailedly each of these interactivity type, starting from the none, which is the static one, the server, which is communication between a WebSocket through SignalR connection from the server to the client, whereby all processes are done by the server and now send a response to the user. Okay, and also the WebAssembly, that is whereby all the resources of the application are being downloaded into the client browser, and that is where the interactivity happens. When I talk about the auto, it's comprised of adding the server and the WebAssembly. So in such case, or here, the WebSocket is created, process is first done on the server and now sent to the client. In the process of being sending, then the WebAssembly also take in charge. It also download all the necessary resources and now installed on the client browser. It happens in the background. So by the time that the communication is happening on top of the Blazor server, Blazor WebAssembly has taken over, has covered up, and anything or the next communication is going to be handled through this WebAssembly. That is the client itself. So that's all this. This is just a snappy of it. I have a full video done on this, about 30 minutes or so. Yes. So maybe you can just go in there and check that one out. If you want to do that, please, the description, it is there waiting for you patiently. Okay, so for now, we're going to choose this, the auto, because you want our application to render on both the server and also the client as well. And now let's include the sample pages whereby you're going to have access to the controller, and all other guys that we need in this project. For the authentication type, we leave it to none because we're not talking about any of these, right? So we want to maintain this none. Now click on create to get this project created. So if you are familiar with Blazor framework, you understand what you see in here. Here we have two projects, that is the server and now the client. But if you are new to this, then in Blazor, we have a new two projects added. That is when you use the .NET 8 framework. Now you can see from here that we have the client and we have the server here. Now, what does each do? Let's say for the client, if you want your application to get downloaded and now installed in the client browser, then all your components should be inside this page folder, right? And all these components must be attributed with what? Interactive Auto or Interactive WebAssembly. When you do that, it means that all the source code of this, all these resources are going to be downloaded and installed on the client browser, so that even when the person is disconnected from the server, communication can still happen, a process can still be performed, right? So let's see, and that is what this client is about. Now the server here is going to handle, the server is going to handle everything. So initially, when you launch this application, it is the server's duty to process the first request that the client meets. In the process of processing it and communicating by creating WebSockets, using SignalR connection to connect with the client, and now communicating, moving up and down, the client also here, that is a WebAssembly here, download all the necessary resources and now give it to the client browser to get it installed. So the next visit is going to rely on the client. I believe this is a very simple explanation for this. Whilst we move on, you're going to understand more about this. So if you are not okay with this, please don't stop watching this. Keep watching. And at the end, you're going to see a light at the end of the tunnel, right? So don't worry. Let's get it done. So once you have the very first thing that we need to do is, I keep saying the very first thing was to create a project. Now the second thing is to install some packages that you're going to use. Remember, the title of this project or this video is to perform CRUD operations using the SQL server. So we need to install some packages that can enable us to interact with a database, SQL database. Yes. So right click on this server, and here the dependencies, that is where we're going to install all our projects. This is a project, all our packages that are going to use for database creation. So let's right click on dependencies and now go to manage NuGet packages. So click on the browse tab, and now in here we're going to search for EF Core. So first of all, let's search for EF Core, and that stands for the Entity Framework Core. Now since this is in a preview mode, then we have to check this include pre-releases, right? So you can see we have this current one, that's a release candidate of 2.233 and etc., right? So you want to have this. Let's install this EF Core. Aside from this, we need to install SqlServer. And we need to install tools. So we have this SqlServer. Do you have it here? Okay, so we did SQLite. Okay, so let's go in for SqlServer or tools. We have SqlServer. That is this one. Install. So let's install tools. And that is this one. Okay, so now we have 3 packages installed. So when we check the dependencies and I go to packages, you can see we have these packages over here. From the EF Core, we have EF Core Server, we have tools. So these are the 3 packages that can help us to create our CRUD operation. Okay, so now we have this. Let's now build this project. So let's build solution and see if everything is working as expected. All right, so we see that the project is now built successfully. So we can just go in there, right click, and then close all tabs. So now let's get back to the Solution Explorer where we have our project resources. Now we see when it comes to this Explorer here, we have these two projects as indicated earlier on. And the next thing I'm going to do here is to add a class library. So the first question is, why are we adding a class library? Why? The reason why we are adding the class library here is very simple. We want to share the source or the files or any kind of thing that we're going to put into that class. You want to share for both this client and now the server. If you've used WebAssembly before, you can see that WebAssembly has the client, has a server, and it has a class library. Now, this class library that we're going to add here can be used by this client, can also be used by the server. When we add modules to that's a class library, this client server here can use it. This is a client project, can use that. And also the server can also use it. Now the server will use that model for database migration as an entity. Now the client will also use the same model in its edit forms, right? So if you put the model inside this server, you cannot get it into this project because it is limited to this server project. So when you add a class library, we can add the references to any of these, and that can help it achieve what we want today. So let's do that. Right click on this and let's add new project. And now in here, we're going for class library. If you can't find it, click on this filter and go in for a library. And you're going to find C# class library. So choose that. And now in here, maybe you can give it as shared project, right? So let's say it's a shared library. So you make sure you choose the same framework of 7.0. Oh, that's the 8.0. Sorry for that. I don't want to confuse you, but I nearly confused you, isn't it? So now you can see as soon as you create this class library as a shared library, you can see we have this default class and we don't need that. So let's remove it. Now let's see. Let's add the dependencies to any of these. So let's add this project reference to the client and also to the server. So right click on dependencies, add project reference. Then we can now choose this class library. Click on OK. Let's do the same to the client. So you make sure you select only the shared library. You cannot add a server. No, we can't do that. So only the shared library. Click on OK. Now let's build this project and see if we have any error. We try to figure that one out before we continue on. So now that we have 3 projects, you can see from the output that 3 projects are seeded. So it means each of them is working as expected. That's good. Now, let's start with the shared library. So this is what you're going to do. Let's create a model here. But before that, you can put it in the folder and now name this as model. So let's have models folder. And now within this models folder, let's have just one model. Now the name here is going to be product. So I like using product a lot. So product. And now with this product model, we want to make this as public so we can access it globally. We can also clear this because we don't need any of this. They are chaff. So let's remove them. Now in here, since we're going to have access to database, we must first have an ID, and that's going to use automatically as a primary key. Now the next one is we want to have product name. So that's going to be string. And we say that is a name. And maybe at the end, we can say it's equal to string.empty. Initialize it. Then we can have another one, maybe int quantity. So quantity. Okay, so let's say we have these 3 properties here, but we're going to have only 2 working. One is going to be for the ID, and ID it is untouchable. So we can touch only the name and the quantity. We can change them like that. Okay, so let's pick this, or let's maintain this for now for the sake of our time and also this project. Don't want to confuse you, want to make it simple. Let's save this. Okay, so we have this product, and what we need to do again here is we are going to, let's go to this server project. Let's create our database connection string first. So by doing this, we can add a folder to this, and now we can name this folder as data. Now let's add a context class. Now this context class is going to have access to our database, so we're going to say appdb contest. Okay, so we have appdb contest, and now with this, it's going to inherit from this db contest class, as you know. So this db contest class is coming from Entity Framework Core, and we can generate a constructor here, and I'm passing this db contest, which is inheriting the base or the parent class, and that's going to be the db contest. So where we have these options, let's specify these options with the appdb contest. And now we have to create a database. So in order to create a database, you can just type in prop, and now in here, you're going to use db sets, right? You pass in our product. Now, since we've added the project reference, you see it has added here using shared library.models. So we have our product, and now we're going to name it as product. So this product is going to be the name for the database table. So we're going to have database table name as products, and the column of each data of this product data table is going to be the properties found within this product. So we're going to have ID column, we're going to have name column, we're going to have quantity column. So that is the only 3 properties or the columns that we need for this practical purpose. Okay, so now we are done with this. You can now save this, and let's go to this app.setting.json. Let's specify a database connection string, and now on top here we can say that connection string. Let's pop it up and let's give it a name. So we're going to say default connection. So if you're watching my videos, I like using default connection, so because it is very simple and easy to remember. And here I'll have my server set to local. So this is going to be the local, meaning I'm referring to my machine, and I'm going to have my database set to, this is demo. Okay, so demo CRUD DB. Okay. Whoa. I'm going to do this CRUD operations DB. Okay. And let's have trusted connection. Let's set this to true. So trusted underscore connection. Make sure you don't make mistake here. Set this to true. And also trust server certificate. Whoa, trust server. See what I did? Trust server certificate. Well, that's right. Set this to true. That's it. So there's a connection string that we need to specify it, and we have it set. Let's close that. Let's go to the program.cs file, and now let's register database connection. Make sure that you register it before the app build. So let's have a now space here. I'm going to say builder.services.add db contest. So .add db contest, passing this app db contest class. And now this has to carry on with an option parameter. Let's open it, specify something in here, and we say options dot use SqlServer. Now let's go in for the connection string that we copied or we created. So build the configuration dot get connection string. And now what is the name of this connection string? Do you remember? It is default connection. So in order not to make mistake, we can just check. In case maybe we make a mistake here, like what we've done is not equal to what we've written. So we can just have, if this is null, then let's say, let's show new exception. So invalid operation exception, right? And now in here, we can specify, whoa. So I say, whoa, connection string is not found. Then I can just close this. But this won't work, because we're going to rectify it ourselves. Okay, so let's go in there, let's copy this, let's come here, and now let's paste it. We make sure it is the same as we use. Now let's terminate that. That's fine. So we have a connection string created successfully. Now let's build the project once again and now perform database migration. That's fine. So you can see that it is done. Now to perform database migration, we need to open this package manager console. If you are not finding yours, don't worry, click on Tools, then go to NuGet Package Manager, and you can see we have a package manager console, so click on this. So in here, let's navigate. You can see we have 3 projects now, and you want to perform the migration inside the server project, right? So we have to navigate to the server project. So by doing so, we can just type in ls to show the current of the project. Now let's grab this, and now in here, let's make cd. Let's open this, and I can see we have ls, and we can now, this is the server, so let's grab this, and now let's change cd, so paste that, so ls, you can see now we are inside the project. So let's add dash migration, and I'll give it a name. So I'm going to say first. I like using first for the migration name. Now let's click on OK. First of all, it's going to build this. After building, then it's going to create a file, and that file is going to handle all our database table name and the table columns that we specify. So you specify 2 columns, that is a name, quantity, and an ID. And we said that the first ID as an integer is going to be used as a primary key, and surely it did it. So if you have the constraint table, the primary key here, it is using the ID. Now you can also drop the table by using this drop or down, but we don't want to do that because you need it. Now let's update the database. So you can do that by writing update dash database. So that's all. So let's wait. Yeah, so you can see that it has been updated, and now when we check our project, the server, we have a folder called migrations, and you can see we have the file over here created. That's fine. When you also go to SqlServer object, and now we're going to have the name that we specified in here. So let me just pin this. Now we can see we specify the name as demo CRUD operation DB. Now let's open this database folder. And I can see we have demo CRUD. Where is it? Whoa, that is over here. Yeah, that's it. So you can see if I open this, we have just a tables folder. And now currently we must have only one table known as product. And that product table must be empty. So I click here and view data. And you can see that the table, it is there, but nothing is in here. So now let's create a form so we can add something to this table. We can retrieve and we can also update it. And that will be the end for this video. So the next thing that we're going to do here is we are going to create an interface. So here, this is what we're going to do. Since we have a client project and we have a server project, a client project has to make a request from the controller. So that means we have to create controller inside the server project. And now the client is going to call the controller using the HttpClient, right? So we have to do some little configuration over here so we can have access to the controller where we are in the client section. Okay, but all of them are going to use one interface. So this interface, that's what we're going to use to create our service. So maybe in the server, we can just name it as repository. And now with the client, you can say service. Okay, so let's create a repository here. But before that, I want us to have a general interface, repository interface for both. So let's create a folder to the shared project, and I'll add a new folder. And now let's say this is let's say there's a repository for both. So there's a repository. So I can say it is product repositories. So since I'm going to have, let me add IES, make it multiple. So right click on this, and now let's add an interface here. So class, and I choose interface, don't forget. And I'm going to say iProduct. So iProduct. Okay, so there's an iProduct repository. So that is this one. Now with this iProduct, first of all, let's make some cleanup. And here, let's make this as public. So since we are putting this in the shared project, it means both can have access to. Yes, it's in the free range. Now let's have our task. So this is going to be the task. And here we want to return, okay, so let's return the product. So when you add the product, you want to return the product added, okay? Then we can say add product async. I like using the async because it's going to be asynchronous. And now here I'm going to have the product, and let me have a model. So that's going to be the payload. Now I'm going to have the next one, task, and I'm going to have the same product. Okay, and there's going to be an update. So update product async. And here it's going to be the same product, and now model. Now the next one will be the same task of product. We want to return all product at all cost. So that's going to be we're going to have an update. We have create, that's an add. We have update. We have delete. So that is a delete product. I know I won't forget my async and delete. But this time around, you want to have just product ID. So we can make a search and now get it. And the next one, we have get. So we're going to have task, and this is going to be the list of products. So the list of products, we want to get all products for now, and we say get all products. And don't forget my async. So with this, there's no parameter for that. The last one, you're going to have return a product here. So return this product, and we're going to say get product by ID. So by ID async, don't forget, and I'll pass in int product ID. So pass in supply product ID, and it will supply you with the product object. This is very simple, right? So give me something and I'll give you more than what you give to me. Okay, so we have, these are the interfaces that we need for this. And this is going to be the general one for both the service and also the repository. So now we are in here. Let's go to the interface here for the server. Let's create, can we put in, no, let's create a new folder here. And let's name this as implementation, right? So that's going to be an implementations. And now with this implementations, and that's going to be there. You see, when I talk about this, we have the interface and we have its implementation class. So we are having a general interface and going to have a separate what? Implementation. So this is going to be for the server. Let's create a class, and this is going to be product repo. So product repository. So remember that this is different from the interface. The interface was a product repository. That's an interface, and here is just a class. And this was what interface? This is just a class. So here it's going to inherit from this product repository, and our control period, the control plus dot, we can implement all the interfaces here, and also we can generate constructor here. So let's see, we have constructor generated, and in here we can specify our appdb context class. So appdb context class, and I will say appdb. So let's create and assign this field. Now before I continue, let me pause this, and it might be that there's going to be a doubt. Why are you creating the implementation class here but did not add it to the repository? The reason is, you know, this class, this shared library, it is shared to this client. So anytime that you want to use the client section on the person's browser, it's going to download the whole repository here with this implementation class. Now this implementation here, it is the business which is getting connected to database. Okay, so it is not important, or it is not good to add it to the client project. Here, what we need here, it is just a service to make a call, and that's it. But for the actual code must be kept within the server. It shouldn't be out, okay? Because if you have access to this DB, it means you have access to the database. And you know, if someone gets access to the database, you are doomed, isn't it? Yes. So that's why you have to put it here. And for the interface, as for the interface, since it's going to be the general one, we can put it inside the shared library. I believe I've explained this. And are you okay with it? That's fine. So let's keep going. So I'm going to, let me just put this here. Okay. Now we have add product. So remember that if you want to check our AppDB context, we have a table name as product, and that's a table name that has been created in the database. So in our repository, we can do something like, so if model is null, can just make a check to see. We can just also return null. Yes, because at the end, the payload here, that is the output here, it is what? The return type is product. So return null. But in case it is not, then maybe you can check if the product has been added already. You can check the name. So var product, var check chk is equal to await appdb contest dot product dot find async, right? So can we use find async? Here you have to pass in product key value, but let's use first or default. So product first or default async. Or I think we can use where, since we want to check something. So dot where, and here we can say that, and use this dot name dot to lower. Let's convert it dot equal to what is coming in as the model dot name dot to lower. So you want, since here the product is not added yet, so dot first or default async. So we can't have access to the ID, because since the product is not added, there is no ID generated. So we can't fetch the ID. We have to fetch the name. So search through all the product and see if we have the same product. We have a product in the database with the same name. Then tell the person that it has been added already. So in such case, we can just do something like return. So if product, okay, so if product is equal to null, we don't say it's equal to null, it's not. So if you have it already, then return null. Else, then await, no, okay, so await appdb contest dot product dot add, then let's add the model. Okay, the reason why we have this error here is you have to remove this. In addition, we don't have add async to that. And aside from that, we can just save appdb contest or save changes async. Then that is where the await must come in. So we're going to save changes and now return. In the return type here, it is what? It is return this model. So in here, if you return this model, it means the model is going to return without an ID. So we want to return this. So in order to return this, when it adds, we can do something like, so var new data added, right, is equal to this appdb contest dot product dot add. Then aside from, you can have dot entity. Okay, so this entity is going to get us the current data updated. So return new data entity, return this. Very simple. We are done with that. Now let's go to the delete. So for delete, we're going to make a set. So var product is equal to await appdb contest dot product dot first or default async. And now in here, we're going to find this dot id is equal to, is equal to this product id. So you say if product is null, so if product is null, then it means the product is not found. So in such case, you need to return null to the person. But in case it is there, then we're going to say appdb contest dot product dot remove the current one. And here we're going to remove this product. Aside from removing, you make sure you save it so the changes can stick. So appdb contest dot save changes. Then after that, this is the remover one. So this is the one that we're going to remove. So we can just return this product. Although it has been removed, but we can still return it to the user, return product, that this what has been removed. Okay, now let's see from get all product. So as for this, let's use this lambda expression because it's very simple. Use this fat arrow and let's see await, right? So appdb contest dot product dot toList async. If you actually want to know how to use this lambda expression, also the collation operator, I've made a video on that under EF core. So maybe I'll put out a description. You can also check it over there, or check this playlist and check for EF core, and you're going to find that in there. But I'll try hard to put it under the description. Okay, so now we have this get product by ID. So you know we have to get it first. Let's get this data and let's first get the product over here. Okay, and let's see. So here must be an async. Now we check if this is equal to null. So if product is null, then you two return null to the person. It's just very simple. Give me null, I give you null. If not, return the product. Okay, now we have the next one, that is an update. So for this update, we have to make a search here, get the specific product details by the ID. Then in case it is found, then this is what we want to do. So let's see for this. I'm going to copy this again. Now in here, let's paste this. And this must be an async as well. Okay, so we're going to search for this model.id. So let's grab this. And this is going to be model.id. So the ID coming in, if it is now, return now. But in case it is not, then product.name, we're going to map it to this model.name. Okay, then we're going to say product.quantity is equal to this model.quantity. Now the reason why we are not mapping the ID here is ID is a primary key, and primary key can never or cannot be changed. Okay, so we don't want to change the primary key. The primary key is the same as has been assigned by the database. So we only change the data record. That is going to be the name, the quantity, and that's all. Because we have only two properties. When we check this product model here, because we have only two properties, name and quantity, this is going to be the ID. So for the ID, it's unchangeable, but you can edit the name and then the quantity. Okay, so after doing this, we can just also return the product updated. But for this, you know, this product has now been changed, right? Have been updated. So if you try to return this product, it is going to be the old one or the new one. Okay, so when you return this product, it's going to hold the old data here, but this has been updated. So we have to also make a search again and get the current product. So we can say return await appdb dot product dot first or default. Then we can say whereby the ID is equal to this model.id. So by this time round, the product has been updated, and this can get us the current one. Is it? Do I have to check for now? That is why it is giving us this warning. But don't worry, this can handle this. Okay, so let's return this. Now let's save that, and that's going to be all for this product, this service here. So the next thing to do here is we're going to create a controller here, and now try to call this inside that controller, right? But before that, let's register this in the program.cs file before we forget it. And we have to do that by creating a dependency injection. So we say builder.services.add scope, and now in here we're going to say iProduct repo. Then we say product repo. Yes. So we close that, and that's all. Now let's go to the same server. Let's create a folder, and then that's going to be for controller. So add a new controller here. So controller. So let's make this as controllers, not just single one. So let's edit this, and I'll add the S to that. And also after doing this, you know, let's make this server aware that it has a controller that it needs to call from, right? So we can do that in the program.cs file. Now in here, we have to register or add a service to it. Now let's put it on top here, and we can say that builder.services.add controller. So we can add controllers. And now when it comes to this point here, this is a middleware pipeline. You have to also add the API. We have to map the controllers here. So after this HTTPS redirection, we can say app dot map controllers. Okay, because we have controllers here, and that is all. So we make this server aware of that we have to, or we're going to use a controller. So hey, be alert. Now let's go to the controller, right click, and now let's create a new controller here. And this is going to be for product. So choose an API, an empty one. And the name of this is going to be product. So product controller. Okay, so we have this, and now it's the route API / the controller name, and that's going to be the product. Let's create a constructor for this. We control period, generate constructor, and that is it. And we need to call in the interface. So that's an product repo. And I have our product repo here. Control period. Let's create an assigned field. So it is now set and ready. We can use all the interfaces or the method that we have created. Now the very first one that we are doing here, it is an HTTP get. So let's get this. Now get, so yeah, okay, let's specify the route here. And now we are saying all products. Okay, so this all products. And with this all products, we're going to have public async task. Let's say action results. And now with this action results, we need to pass in the list of product because we are getting all product. Oh, he's saying product controller. No, it is not product controller. I'm talking about the product model. So control period, we need to include the shared library. And in here, we say get all product. Async is very important. Then in here, we can say that var product is equal to, then we can have await. We're going to have our product repo. So dot get all product. Then you're going to say return. Okay. And now the product. So either the product is null or it has data, so return okay. Because as soon as it returns okay, it means that the connection was active and the communication were established. Okay, so we can remove this here. Now that's for the get. Let's get single one. So this I'm going to do. Let's make a copy of this. And now so this single product. So I won't say get all product, but rather say single product. So single product. And now this single product is going to come in with an ID, isn't it? So we're going to pass in ID here. Now with this ID, get single product. So I'm going to pass in get single product async, then end. Now you make sure that the ID must be the same as this ID. Okay, good. Then here, so var product is equal to, and we must find there's a method known as get product by ID, and I'll pass in this ID. Return okay with the model or the results here. Then the next one is gonna will be, so let's say we have all the gets, so we're gonna add data. Add data. We're gonna add product. So let's copy this and we can paste it here. And instead of the add, we're gonna say this is add data. So add product. And now for this, the addition, we did not need to specify any parameter. It is just a route. And since it is a post method, we're gonna say HTTP post. Okay, add product. And now in here, add product async. And now the payload coming in must be a product and related to its model. So product, then you're gonna have model. Okay, so product dot, we're gonna have access to add product async, then passing this model, and that will be all. So this is gonna return and the added product. So return this product. You see, this is very simple. Now we have two left. We have delete and update. So there's going to be an update. Now for this update, it is an HTTP put. So let's make this as put, and that'll be all. And now here, instead of this add, we're going to say update product async, the same model. And now here we call this dot update product, and that'll be all. Now let's have the last one as delete. So it is not put, it is not post, it is not get, it is rather delete. Okay, and let's say delete product. And this product must also come in with an ID. Remember that we have to specify a parameter here as ID. So we're going to say delete product and delete product async. And this must come in as an ID, not an object. So int, and that is an ID. So in here, let's clear this. And we can have an API known as delete product, and it is accepting an ID. So you pass in this product ID, and as soon as it is deleted, you're going to return that object. So we can also return it to the user. So we have a controller set, and it is working well. Although we haven't tested it, but virtually it is working, right? Okay, that's fine. Let's save this. So we have our server created, everything is working. Now what we need to do here is to create a client service from this client so we can actually use this method here. So let me also pause this and say that maybe you might have said that, okay, so why didn't you create the component, or why don't you create all the component that you're going to be using inside the server? Because you see that the server also has a folder called, does it have pages? Okay, so here, okay, it has component folder and it has pages here. So why don't you create the component here and use a repository instead of creating controller for this client service to use? Now the answer is, our aim is to create application so that the user can use it even when the person has been disconnected from the server. When you put it to the server here, it means when connection is lost, the application doesn't function anymore. But as soon as you put all the components here, it means this is the Blazor WebAssembly. So when the application disconnects from the server, still the files or the resources have been downloaded already onto the person's computer, so the person can use the application. Okay, so that's why I need to put them here. So in doing so, we have to pass through these ones, okay, these steps. Create the controller, create a repos, create a client, make a call, and a return display to the user. And that's what thing that we are doing here. Okay, so now we are done with the controller, our interface, and our repos. Now let's come here and create our service. So here we are, we can now close the server and now close the shed. Now we are into the client. So right click on the client. Now let's add a folder here. And I'm going to say this is services. So services, I'm going to create just an implementation because you have an interface already. Okay, so this is going to be a class, and here it is product service. So product service. Now with this product service, it's going to inherit from the product. Let's make it inherit from the product repo. So there's going to be I product repo. Okay, control period. We can implement the interfaces here. So we have implemented all the interfaces. Let's create a constructor here. So not that. So CTOR constructor created. Now let's inject our HTTP client. So HTTP client, and now we call it HTTP client control period. Now let's create an assign field. So what we are doing here is we are going to make a call to the controller. You know, before you make a call to the controller, you must have this HTTP client initiated or initialized. So that's what we are doing here. We're going to use this guy here to make a call to add this product, delete, and perform these CRUD operations. I hope this is simple and clear. Okay, so now we are in here. Let's create the var product is equal to, then let's have an await HTTP client dot. This add to post our JSON async. So we have it here. Now we have to specify the route, and as to specify route, it's going to be an API / the controller. The controller, it is the product. Okay, and now let's pass in this model. So for now, when you run this, it's not going to work. Why? I'll explain to you, let's finish with this. So let's return, so var response is equal to, let's have an await, then product dot read from JSON async. Or do you have that in here? Okay, so product dot, we have to get the content here dot read from JSON async, and that is the down here. And here we can specify this product. It must turn it to this product object. And at the end of the day, we want to return the response. Okay, so that's what we want to do. Let's make it nullable. Now let's do same to the other ones over here. So from this get, we can just have a copy of this. Now because we have get all, so with get all, it is a matter of making this async, and also just making this product, because you know there is a plural, so we don't want to say product which contains a list, right? So, and for the response you can maintain as it is. But instead of the get, instead of this post, we are not posting, we rather want to get. So get async, and I will get async. This is the route here. Okay, so there's another one, that is get all product. I think so. Let's check the controller. So the controller here is what? Okay, so we have add all product. Okay, it's all product. So all product, there's no get. And for the add, it is add product. I think so. So it is not. Okay, let's see. It is add product. Single one, we have get, and HttpClient, it is add product, and an update product, and a delete product. Okay, so we have all product and product slash add product. Okay, so and that is this one. So here, return from JSON, we have to, this must be in the list form because you are returning a list of objects. Let's make this as a list. Okay, then return this. Now get by ID, we have to do the same. So no, let's copy this because here it is just a single object that you want to return. So in here, and this must be get async, and our API product, and this is it gets single product, and passing the ID. So product, and that's going to be for single product. And in here, we are going to specify an ID, this product ID. Okay, so this is a product ID, and we need to specify that here. We have to remove this. Okay, so get API product, single product, then get by this product ID. Okay, now this must be an async. Now once we have this, we are going to, so we have this string here passing in as a parameter. Okay, now response is equal to this product dot read as this, and I return this response. Okay, so the last one is an update. So for this update, we can also make a copy of the same post. And now in here, let's paste it here. Let's make this as async. And now to do that, var product is equal to, now this is not just a post, it's a put. So put as JSON async and the API, and that's going to be the update product, and passing this model return response, and now return to the person over here. All right, so we have it set, all set and done. Now control period, let's remove unnecessary usings. Okay, so we have it set, that is all. So this is the client service. Okay, delete is here, so we skip that. Okay, now it's the same thing over here from this get by ID, so we can just grab this, and now in here, instead of this get async, it is what? Delete. So it is delete async, and now this delete async, we specify this product ID, make this as async. Okay, so this must be an async, and I return the response of the deleted data to the user. Okay, so this is set. Now the next thing to do here is, in order for us to get this API work, we have to register this service also. So we have to put this inside the service folder, and that has to come from the client. So in here, before the build, we're going to say builder.services.register, etc. Right? So builder.services, so .add scope, and now with this add scope, we're going to say I product service. So I product repository, then you're going to have product service. Okay, and that is what we need to do. So that is it. Okay, now the next thing to do here is let's register this here. So let's go to the server first. Let's configure the server first. Let's check the properties. Go to launch settings, and now let's grab for the HTTPS. Let's grab that is the base address. So let's grab this. Let's go to app settings.json. So we have app settings here. Then on top here, maybe we can specify something like base address. Okay, so with this base address, we can have, let's paste in our base address, put in comma. Okay, so this is our base address. Now we specify this, we go back to the same server program.cs file, and now in there we have to make some specifications too. So let's use builder.services.add scope. Now with this scope, we have to specify this. Now it is a scope, so HTTP, and now this must point up to, we create a new HTTP client. Okay, now with this, we have to specify, let's terminate this first, and we say we have this base address is equal to new URI, or not uint, it's URI. Then the URI we have to specify, so builder.services.configuration.get section. Okay, now what is the name of that section? We made it as base address. And in this, we want to grab the section value, not the section itself. Okay, and you know this can return null, so let's terminate, or let's make it nullable. And I think this null must come here. Yes, so it must be here. Let's terminate that at the end. Okay, we've done this already. Okay, so Control KD, we can save this. Now, let's go to the, okay, so let's check if this is the same as what we made. So we won't have any error in running this. So base address, yeah, that's fine. Okay, now let's go to the server and also make a configuration so that when we call a service to this controller using this product server that we created, it can find the base address and now append this API to this product controller name, and now there's the action method. So we go to this client with the WebAssembly, go to the program. Then in here, we're going to do the same thing. So build out the services.services.add scope. And now with this add scope, we're going to have access to HTTP. Then we point to new HTTP client. And now with this new client, we have to expand that, terminate at the end, and use the base address is equal to new URI. Then we specify builder.host. You can have host environment dot base address. Now with this base address, this will give us access to the address of this app, right? So that's what we're going to use for this base address. So it's going to be like HTTP localhost. Then since we have, they're going to add a port as well. Now when it comes to our product service, we're going to have an API. So it comes to HTTPS localhost and the port / then you have an API, right? We have a product, then it carry on with that. Okay, so now we have everything set. What we need to do here is to create our form now. And this is the form that we're going to use to update and now delete products. So let's close all these, close all tabs. And now let's close the server too. We can close the shell as closed already. Now in the pages, you can see we have this. So let's add a new page here. So add a new result component. And now with this, let's call it as product list. So this is product list. Now with this product list, it's going to display the product, and also we're going to have a button against it so we can actually edit or delete it, isn't it? Yes. So first of all, when you create a project, that's a page whereby you do not have any render mode on top. Defaultly, the default one is none, and it's going to render as a static. So unless you specify the render mode. And here you want to make it in such a way that if it finishes communicating the first time from the server, we want to fall back on the client. That's a WebAssembly. So we're going to use the render mode as auto, and that's what we chose when creating this project. Okay. So on this, we're going to say here, let's first have the page route, and this is product list. So product list. And now let's have this set well. Okay. So from this product list, this is the page that we have. Let's have an attribute. And now this attribute, we're going to make it as render as auto. So that's what I explained. Now let's have this. So let's have our div class, and this is going to be for container. That's a bootstrap. We're going to have our div class, and that's going to be for row. Then we have our div class, and this is going to be for column MD. Let's make it 6. Okay, we have our div class, and this is going to be for card. We have our div class, and this is going to be for card header. So with this card header, you want to have product list. So product list. Now here we can have a next div class as card. Then you're going to have this card body. And now in this body, you want to have table. Okay, now the class of this is going to be table and table stripe. So this is going to be is it striped or stripe? Well, let's see. So in here, we have our table head, and that's going to be the T head. Now T head, we have our TR. Now within the TR, let's have our TH. So the first one is going to be, we have ID. Okay, then we're going to have the next one, so TH. And we're going to have as name. Then, so the third one, we're going to have quantity. Now I'd like to add products to it, to any. So products. Okay, so I'll grab this and I'll come here. I'll paste it. Then product quantity. I'll paste it. And the last one is going to be TH. And here it is an accent. So with this action, it could be either edit or that's going to be the update or delete it. Okay. Now when it come here, so let's come to, we have the T head, and down here we're going to have a T body. Okay. Before we do that, here we're going to say @code. Then let's inject. So we can inject it into this import file here. So let's say @inject. So product. We have a product service. So we have product. So here going to be the product repository. So product repository. So control period. Let's include this, and you can say this is product service. So product service. Okay, so we can now use this product service. Now let's go to the product list, and we're going to create private list of product. Then we say it is product. We have our get and set accessors. then we initialize it or we instantiate it equal to new. Then with this product, control period, okay, so we have to use the library, so we can just cut this, then we go to the import and now paste it here, and it still works. So let's see, we have that set. Okay, now when the page initializes, this is what we want to do. So let's have a private async method, and that is a load product. So load product, and this you're going to have something like, so var product products, so it's equal to await. Then we can have product service, so product service, so dot get all not get by ID, it is get all product, so get all product. So here we can say that if product is null, then do return. Okay, but before we do that, anytime that, so there's an async, okay, so we're gonna have async task. Okay, so return. Now before we do that, you want to check if this product has data, then clear it. So prepare the container before we loop through. If not, then for each var product in product, okay, then we can say that product dot add, then we add this product. So you can see from here that we are looping through the list of products, and that is this list. So every single product found within this list, add it to the list of products that we have created here. Now when it comes to the T body, we can now patiently loop through this product list and I'll display them. So here we're going to do something like, we have if, okay, so you're not going to use this if here, we're going to use for each. Okay, so for each var product in product list. Okay, so product. Then this is what you're going to do. You're going to create tr, and this tr we create td1, and that's going to be the product dot id. So you make sure that it follows what we have set here. Then we can just duplicate this, duplicate that, and duplicate this. Okay, so here you're going to have the name, you're going to have the quantity, and the last one is supposed to be the action, or it must be the action. So the actions, we're going to open the table data, and now let's add button, or we can add div then class. So div, then let's add class. We're going to say that this is age stack. So age stack, let's have gap as 2, and in here let's have the first one as I. We're going to use an icon, so oi-oi, you want to use pencil. So pencil, you want to have test info, and that's going to be the color, right? So for test info. And the next one you want to have, so we can just make a copy of this. So Control D, then here, instead of this pencil, we can say trash, right? And that's going to give us the trash container. And now let's make this as danger. Okay, now that's what we have. Now from the whole container, when it comes to this column MD6, we have this card. Now product list. So here we can just, this is a card body. So we can just copy this. Let's cut this here, and now let's write something. So if product list, so if product.count is greater than 0, that is where we want to display this. Okay. So else, what do you want to do? So else, you want to have just a div class, and now here this is alert. You want to have alert info, and now you want to say no product found or no product available. Then let's close this div. Okay, so that is what we are doing, no product available. Let's save that. So for now, when you run this, we're going to have access to no product available because the list has empty. Now let's see. Now we have to call this method here when the page rendered. So let's see, overwrite. Then you're going to have on initialize async, and let's call this load product method. So call this, and that's going to be an await. Call this. Okay, now let's save this. Let's go to the home page. So the server homepage component and our layout, and you can see we have nav menu. So this nav menu, we can just have one here, and I name it as product. Now the product, let's navigate to product list. So that is product, and now list. I believe that is a route, isn't it? Check here. On top here it is product list. So here too it is product list. Okay, so that's fine. Now let's run this and see. Okay, so the app is now ready. Now let's click on the product, and you can see we have no product available. Now when you right click, let me open this now. And now if I right click and go to inspect element, let's go back to the home page. Now go to network, and now let's see. So click on WebSocket. If I click on product, see what happened. You can see nothing happens here because it has been loaded already. And when you go to WASM, it has already loaded. So let's see what happens here next. If I refresh this, click on the same network tab, WebSocket. So you can see WebSocket has been created. That's the first one. And so you can see there's no data here for the WASM. And I'm going to navigate to this page. Now click on this, and let's return. So to achieve this, we have to clear the memory. So let's clear everything here from this. Or this is what I'm going to do. I can just run this inside another browser. So I'll just choose web browser, and I'm going to use Microsoft Edge. So let's run this again. So because of the render mode that we use as auto, it's going to switch from the WebSocket or the server to the WebAssembly. So the server uses the WebSocket and the WebAssembly uses the WASM. Okay, so let's check that one out. So that's the first load. Now let's open this. Well, right click, go to inspect element. And now let's see from this network tab. You can see from this WebSocket, you see there's nothing here, and there's also nothing here. If I click on console, you can see there's nothing here because currently it is on the server format. Now if I click on it, let's see what happens. So let's first go to the network tab. Now the WebSocket, if I click on product, see what happens. So you can see the product. I click this and I'm going to navigate to the product. Now we have this product over here. The page has been navigated to this product list, and let's see. You can see we have a WebSocket created. As you can see, this is a WebSocket. And here, first rendering, it is from the server. That's why the WebSocket has been created. And you can see there's a communication here. Now, if I check this WASM, you can see the files is also being downloaded background. So this happened background. Now, if I go to console, see what happened. You can see now this is for WebAssembly, and now the file is being downloaded. Now let's go to the same network again. Let's click on the WebSocket. And if I go to home, and now if I click on it again, there won't be any socket again created. It means this has finished. If I click on console, you can see that here the connection is disconnected. So there's no server communication. It is rather now on this WASM. And that's what you can see. We have all the data here rendered. If I click on this, because we have all the data here, and now you can just communicate even offline within the application. So that's the good thing about this, using this auto. And I keep saying that Blazor, it is a feature for web app and mobile app and any app development, right? Because it has a lot of goodies that we can implement, and it is fast and it is easy to also use as well. Okay, so now let's create a component so we can add data to this. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to close this and let's create the next component here. So product list, and let me make this as 8. Okay, now here we can have a bar on top and maybe a button that's add data. So the table, this is the table here, and the table head, this is a product list. This is the table head. So the table head, we can just come here and add a button. So let's add button, and let's have a class. So there's going to be btn primary. Okay, now in here let's have an icon, and that is a class. So oi -plus, and that is an add. Okay, so add product. Now if this is on click, if this is clicked, what you want to do, you want to navigate to add product page. Okay, so here we have to create a method. Now let's come down here and I'll create a private void, then navigate to this page. And before that, let's inject navigation manager. So inject navigation manager, then make it as navigation manager. Okay, so we can now go ahead to this list, and now we're gonna say that navigation manager down here dot navigate to, then we can have access to add product. Okay, or let's say manage product, not even add per se. We can say manage product, and that's going to be add or update. Okay, or we can say add or update product, anyone. Okay, so let's have manage product. So manage product, and it's going to navigate to this component. So we have to create this. Let's go to pages, and now let's add a component, and here that is manage product. So the route for this, let's see. So the route of this is going to be at page, then let's say add product or manage product. Manage product. Yes. So yeah, we're going to add product. Now let's use an edit form. So let's create this. I want us to go to this list, and I can see we have this card and all stuff here. Let's grab this. Let's go to this manage product, and now let's paste it here. Then let's close them. So we have how many? 4 left, last one. Okay, so Control KD, let's arrange them well. Now the card, you can see we have div now class, and for now it is add. So this is going to be the card header. So this card header, you're going to add product. Let's make it for now add product, and now from the card body, so edit. So we must have a div class first, and that's going to be the card body. Now within this card body, that is where you must have this edit form. Now there's a new feature in this edit form that can help us to use it well. Now we see that when you create a page component like this and you refuse to, or you forget to specify the render mode, defaultly it's going to render as a static. So meaning that when you create a property or when you create a method or a button here and then click on it, it's not going to work. But it excludes this edit form. Why does it exclude this edit form? Because this edit form has a new feature added that makes it possible to exclude it. Let's have a look to that. And here we have an edit form. But before we do that, let's come down here and I'll create our private product. Then we can say this is product model. We can have our get and our set, and at the end we can instantiate it to new one. Okay, now when I come here, the first one is the model, okay? And here we are talking about this product model. And as for that one, you know. We also have on valid submit. Now we want to say handle save, okay? Now there's a one thing here, and that is known as name or form name. So this is the form name. So this form name here is going to help you skip that render mode. And this is, let's say this is manage form. Is it manage product? Manage product. Now in here, you want to have a div class and something like form group. Now in this form group, now on top here, maybe we can decide to specify in case we want to validate it. You can put this on top of this the model. So let's do that product, and you want to make this as required. Okay, and we can also copy this, and in here you want to make this also as required. So when you do that, then inside this form you can put data annotations, validata, and also validation summary. You can also put it here. Okay, now within this form group, we can have access to label. Now the label, you're going to have a class, and that's going to be for form label. So form label, and now here you're going to say product name. Okay, and let's have the button. So we're going to have input test. Now this input test is going to have a bind value, and you know the value that you're going for, that is going to be the product model dot name, because that's all you want to use. You're going to have a class as form control as a bootstrap class. We can close this. Then maybe down here we can use validation summary. So we're going to have validation message, and which one is it for? So we are pointing it to this product model that is down here dot name. So it should give us a message to that. All right, so we have this. We can just go in there and make a copy of this, and now we change this to, this is going to be input number. Okay, so this input number. So we have product dot quantity. And now inside of this product name, we're going to say product quantity. And here we can just grab this, and it is making a reference to the quantity. So we have the last one here. It is going to have a button. So let's see, we have this button here. And you know the type, it is then submit, and it is the class. It is btn. Okay, primary. And maybe you can say save. So that is the button name. Okay, so with this, to enable us this to work, okay, we have to specify it as a parameter. So let's make this as public, and we have to add a new property to this as supply parameter from form. So this is going to be supply parameter from what? From form. Now let's save that, and when this is hit, we must create this button as, so private, and that's going to be an async task and handle save. So we can call a service. So we say var result is equal to await product service. We can have product service from here, dot, then add product. So pass in this product model. So this product model, it is coming out of the product that has been updated or inserted. So that's what we can do. We go to this import, and now let's inject. So inject RJS runtime. So we can, and we say JS. So we can display or pop up a message to the user. So down here, we're going to say that await js.invoke async. So js.invoke void async, and now here is going to be an alert. And now with this, we can just have a look at this by typing in something like let's use this. Then we can have, okay, so let's have this string interpolation. Then we can have access to name. So name, and this name, it is coming from, so you can have access to this name. Okay, then it's coming from this result. So result.name, result.name. Then we can have access to the ID2. So you can just grab this. So you can start from here. Then this is the ID of the product, and this is going to be the ID. Then we can have name, that is going to be the name. Then we can have the quantity, and that's going to be the quantity here. So product or result.quantity. Okay, so with each, you're going to have, let's see if I can have environment.newLine. Then with this two, let's have environment.newLine. So environment.newLine. So we can put each on a new line. Okay, so that's what we have now. Now let's add this product. So let's save this. Let's run this and see. So let's go to product. Okay, then, okay, so we're supposed to have this icon here. Let's check that out from the product list. So OI plus, we have at on click, navigate to this. We have this product list. So let's have this a class, and let's say float end. So let's see. All right, so the reason why I think we're having this is, you see, we are using this if. We're checking it from here. So this should have come out. So let's remove it from this side. And maybe we can put it on top here within this card. Right, we can put it here. We can just create a card here. So div class. And we can have our own card here. Then we can have div class. And that's going to be for card header. Then let's paste in that. Okay. So let's save that. And that will be on top. Yes, so we have this here. Now let's specify the name. OI plus. I think that's it's not working here. So OI. Okay, so let's remove this. And now let's have add products. Okay, now we must have that. So add product. So if I click on this, it does navigate us to this page. You can see we can add product now. Now you see this page, it is not. Take note, this page is not having any form of render mode, but it can still work. Let's see. So first product, the product quantity here, it is 1,000, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and etc. Click on save. And now let's see, you can see there's an event here. Wow, so it is saying that invalid operation JavaScript cannot be issued at this time because it is rendered. Okay, so before we do that, it has to come from this on after render async method. All right, I get it. Now let's go in there and make some change in here. Okay, so to skip this, maybe we can just comment this for now. And we have this result here, right? So this result holds the data that we have inserted. So to handle that, maybe you can just write something like private, and that's going to be for product, and say added product. Okay, so or returned product, something like that. Return product. Now with this return product, maybe we can just create this, we have the card here. Down here, we can just create a div class. So div class, and I'll display the data over there. So let's say you have a class here, and that's going to be for the card footer. Okay, so you can see we have this is a card. Okay, so we have the card, this is the card body, and we can put the footer after the card body. Okay, so in here, we can just display this in here, right? So maybe we can just something like name. Then we can say that. So after we've assigned this, we can say results of this product return type here is equal to the output of this. You see, this is very simple thing that we are doing. Then we can just open. So let's instantiate this equal to new. Then here, name, we can say that this product dot name. We can have access to this product return product dot name. Okay, so we can do product dot, then you can have name. You see, and we can have access to the next one is quantity, and it is return product dot quantity. We can have it, and now the ID too, we can have the ID here and dot ID. Okay, so any one of these is still going to work. Maybe you can just use BR a break. You can break them. Now let's reload this page. Okay, so we have an error here. Let's check it out. So we have this error. Yes, this should come. It should come here. And the same thing applies to this here. Okay, now offset, let's run it. So when I click on product, it does navigate to product list. And you can see we have the first product here. And let's now click on add product, navigate us to the add product page. So we are in here. So you can see we have an ID, 0, name, and a quantity. So let's add, there's a second product. Now the quantity here, you have 935 and etc. So let's click on add. As soon as you do that, you can see we have the data returned. So the ID in the database is 3. That is the name. Now when you go back to the product, you can see it has been added here for us. Now let's see, we must have these icons. But since you're not having this, let's check it out. And this is what we are going to do. We want to, or we have to, from the product list, instead of having these icons, let's remove this. And now let's use span. So span, and now here we have a class, and that is test info, and it is edit. Then we have the next one, and this is danger, and you can say delete. Okay, now this, I want us to make it as a button. So let's make this as a button, and this is a button. Now with this class, we have this class test info. Let's have btn none, and this must be btn info. So let's have the same thing over here. We can decide to make it as a button, or you can decide to make it as not button. So btn danger. Okay, so let's save this, and let's see the output. We must have this test here. Okay, so you can see we have the edit, we have the delete. The btn did not work. Btn, yeah, we have btn info, so we can't have btn again. So let's maintain what we have. Okay, so we have this edit and now delete. But as soon as I click on it, nothing happens. So let's wipe them up, and with this, let's have at on click, So at onClick, you want to call a method known as edit. Right, now let's pass in edit, just edit, and I need to pass in this product.id. And now we want to, or we can just pass in the whole product. Okay, because here we have the ID as well, so we can pass in the whole product. And now with the delete, we need to pass in just the ID. So at onClick, then we can pass in delete. And here we need to pass in this product.id. This must be a method. So let's give a method here for callback. Now here, let's go and create this. So edit. And with this, let's have, this is private async task. And this is edit. And it is coming in as a product, and you're going to handle it here in the model. So here, this is what you're going to do. We're going to navigate to the other page so we can have access to this, or maybe we can just copy this. And okay, so here's supposed to be, because you're not returning anything, let's make this as void. So navigate to this and now pass in this model.id. So this contains an ID, but before we do that, this must be like that. So string interpolation, then we pass in the ID. So navigate to this and I pass in an ID like that. Okay. Now, if it comes to delete, let's create a method for delete. And so this is going to be the private, the same void, then delete. And here we need an ID. So int ID. And here, this must be an async task because we're going to call a service method. And you're going to say product service. So product service dot delete from product, delete product async, pass in this ID. Now you know this ID is going to return. So let's have bat product is equal to await. Okay. Then if it returns, we can assign this. Maybe if you want to at least display the return, because we're going to return the deleted data. If you want to display that, well, if you don't want to, you can leave it, but you're going to store it over here, and this is going to delete. So after deleting, then we can call this method again to get the current or the product list again. So we have this set. All right, so this is going to delete it. So if I save this and now run this again, let's test for the delete. Then we go in there and now do the update. Then we call it a day for this video. So product. Now let's delete the second one. So click on delete. And now, okay, so let's check and see. So yeah, what we need to do here to rectify that issue was to come to this product service. Now the product service, we did not specify this $sign here to make this as a parameter, so we did not do that. And now we change this also to delete. At first it was the single, and that is all that we need to do. So now with this, we have this rendered, and now if I click on delete, I think you can see it has deleted it. Now when you go to database and check, let's check from the database, and there is the table. We have one data. If you refresh it, you can see it's going to be, you can see there's no more data here. Let's go in there and add one and see again. So add product, and let's add second product. The value is 6780. Click on save. Has been saved, as you can see from this. Now go to product list, and you can see we have it over here. Click on delete. Okay, so it is no more there. As you can see, it is not here. All right, so that is it. Now let's have a look at the next one. That is the edit. So let's add data again and save. Okay, go to the home. We have this. Now if I click on this edit, what should happen is you navigate to this component, and if you navigate to the manage component, let's see. Okay, so you can see we have 404, meaning this is not found. We did not specify that. So let's go in there and now tackle that, and that will be the end. So we go to this manage product, and now in here we're going to make a copy of this, and we're going to specify as ID here, and this ID is going to be integer. Okay, now down here let's have a property, and this property must be public int, and that will be an ID, and that's all that we need to do as a normal stuff that we do. So parameter, and here we have as this ID. Okay, so I'm referring to this ID as a parameter. It means that this ID is going to accept an ID, or this is going to accept an ID as a parameter, and that's why we're going to store it over here. Okay, now when this comes in, you want to handle this by this override, then on parameter change or on parameter set async, you want to have access to this. So product model is going to be equal to await. Then you can have product service. So product service down here dot get product by ID. Then let's pass in that ID. And that's all that we need to do. So when this save is clicked, so when you come here, when this save is clicked, you want to check if product model, let's check it from here. So if product model dot ID, okay, is equal to or is greater than 0, it means you want to edit it, isn't it? Then you can have this return product is equal to await product service dot update product, then pass in this product model. So let's make it in this form. We can just cut this and now put it here. Then we say else, and we can just cut this and paste it here. And now when we are done, let's set this to return. We set this product model. So after adding this, set this product model is equal to new, clear the container. After adding, after updating to, set this to new, clear the container as well. Okay, so now let's give a breakpoint. It's around here. Let's put it here. And now let's go back and hit this. So edit. Now let's have an updated. Click on save. Now if we return to the point, let's check the values here. The reason why I could say it did not change is because of this parameter. We are saying that the parameter here or the values are from this edit form. Okay, so what we can do here is we can just skip this. So if you want to have only a page where you need to add data, you can use it. But you can see from here that you want to add at the same time, you want to edit with the same form. So let's change this. Let's remove this. And here we can just remove this, the name. As soon as you do this, it means you have to specify an attribute here. So we specify an attribute. Now this attribute is going to be render as auto. Okay, so render as auto here. Now let's save this. And let me stop this. And now let's run it again. Okay, so let's click on products. Let's go to the product list. And in here, we are going to click on this edit. So we're going to edit this product. So let's click on this edit. Now we are in here. So first product, we can update this. Let's say this is updated. Let's add this. Click on save. And now the method is hit. Let's check the model here to see what we have. Okay, so you can see now we have the first product updated and we have the values here. So let's click on continue. Okay, you can see now it is set. So you can see we have the product updated. When I click on product, okay, so let's refresh this and see we are not having the product here. Let's check and see if it actually updated. Click on this. Now let's refresh this and see if we have the first product updated or we don't have that. So we have the first product. It means that it is not updated. Let's check and see. Let's check our service and see. So from here that we're making an update and API. You push to this, put a JSON async, so update product, you pass in this model. When you check our controller too, that's our repo. We have this update, and we first going to check the ID. If it is now returned, if not, then set the name to this product model name. Okay, so we did not save changes, so that is why. So I wait appdb context. So appdb context dot save changes async. So I believe we have to save changes here. Let's stop this. So let's do it. This is supposed to be an await. Okay, so we save changes and we can now return the product. Okay, so now I think it's solved now. Let's run it again. So we click on product, then edit, updated, then save this, and I think this must be saved. Okay, so this is hit. Now let's click on continue. And now it is saved. So now let's click on, let's return to the product list. And you can see we have it. We can also delete it here. And that is it. Alright, so that's going to be the end for this video. So sorry for wasting some time. At least you've learned something. Now, what have we learned so far? So have we achieved our objectives? Let's say we have been able to perform CRUD operation. We have been able to also explain how the edit form works and also the new feature added to the edit form. And also, we've created a C# library and attached, and that is where we have our general interface and other services have been created and added to it to make it as a full application. This is a simple, small one. Alright, so that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so. Like this video as well. Now, if you check the description, I'll put a GitHub link over there so you can just clone this project. Maybe you can just review it yourself and learn something in addition.